Breaking news, Wisconsin able to pull out the upset over Purdue thanks to that shot from Max Klesmit hitting the game winner here. Purdue with a chance to win with the three off of Lance Jones, but it didn't matter. The Badgers feeling the heat and taking control. We're going to talk about that guy in just a minute, but what a victory for the Wisconsin Badgers. The 5th seed in the Big Ten tournament stepping up in overtime, taking down top-seeded Purdue 76-75. Taking a look at the box score there, I mentioned Chucky Hebburn and the performance he had. 22 points, 2 boards, 4 assists and 3 steals, so he had a busy afternoon all over the floor. Zach Edey on the other side with a historic performance, 28 points, 11 boards. More on both of those guys in just a minute. Let's get some instant reaction as we welcome back our CBS Sports college basketball writer, Kyle Boone. And if the viewers at home were tapped into HQ this morning, Kyle, they would know that you picked Wisconsin from the jump here to win this game, and they deliver in a big way. The Badgers punching their tickets to the Big 12 championship game. Kyle, just your thoughts on how this one played out down the stretch.
Yeah, what a sweat that was, Eley. Great game from Wisconsin. Started off really strong. AJ Storr, we kind of expected he would take the load after having a career high in the previous round. He started off very well with a strong first half. Chucky Hebburn, who kind of carried this team down the stretch in the second half and in overtime. He missed the previous game for Wisconsin, but was huge for Wisconsin, not only on the offensive end, but on the defensive end as well, hounding Braden Smith for Purdue. And Wisconsin, man, it just seemed like every time they needed a basket, every time they needed a defensive stop, they were there, and that was a really good win for Wisconsin. An upset win over Purdue, moving on to the Big Ten tournament title game.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Chucky Hebburn, because we saw AJ Storr have a big performance last game out. But in terms of Hebburn, he forces overtime with the buzzer beater to end regulation. Then he gets that crucial offensive foul you just mentioned against Braden Smith. So he fouls out, and then, of course, that leads to the game-winning shot there. Just how impressive was he, especially when so many of his teammates were in foul trouble at that point?
Yeah, it was huge. It felt like the entire Wisconsin team was in foul trouble for most of the second half. A lot of danger, I think, for this Wisconsin team. Hebburn was huge in stepping up. He actually was expected to try and give it a go in yesterday's game, was a late scratch because of an injury, and comes out today, starts a little bit slow as AJ Storr kind of takes over in the first half, but a huge second half in overtime for Chucky Hebburn. Greg Gard, the Wisconsin coach, earlier this week kind of said, we have a lot of depth. This is kind of how we win. We win with guys coming in waves. We don't have necessarily 1 or 2 guys who they rely on every single night to be the star. Hebburn is just one of many guys on this Wisconsin team who can really give you a big scoring night on offense and really step up on defense. And he did that today for Wisconsin.
Yeah, just an unbelievable performance. I'm sure he is living it up in the locker room right now with his guys. Let's talk about the other side here, Kyle, because despite the loss, it was a historic performance for Zach Edey, who just continues to impress. He becomes the Big Ten's all-time leading scorer, as well as Purdue's all-time leading scorer, and he was 3 rebounds shy of breaking the rebounding record here. So when you think about what Zach Edey is doing, operating here well, our Jerry Palm still projects Purdue to be a #1 seed in the tournament, but just what did you like from his game today?
Well, I like the resilience that we saw from Zach Edey today, because it was a frustrating start for Zach Edey. Wisconsin started this game hot, and I think their goal and their game plan to start this game was to go right at Zach Edey, and that was successful. Edey struggled in the first half, played only 7 minutes in the first half because he was in immediate foul trouble, and I think they really frustrated Zach Edey. But down the stretch in the second half and in overtime, he was really big. Obviously finished with a great statistical game, finishing with 28 points and 11 rebounds. He's so efficient, being able to score in the post. Every time they get the ball, they're trying to feed Zach Edey, and he was really good kind of overcoming some early adversity and climbing back into this for Purdue after a slow start.
Yeah, and just to emphasize how impressive him breaking that scoring record is for Purdue, Rick Mount was the one who held that record previously. It's been there since 1970, so he was in his bag today. Congratulations to him. Kyle, Excuse me, before I let you go, I want to talk about bracketology here. I mentioned it. Jerry Palm still has Purdue as a #1 seed heading into the tournament in just a couple weeks here. But for Wisconsin, they were a 6th seed ahead of tip-off. This is an impressive victory for them. Do you see that 6th seed maybe jumping up a little bit here, or how do you think this win sort of impacts them going forward?
Yeah, I think you're right. Talked to Palm earlier today, heard from him, and he is obviously going to keep Purdue as a #1 seed in the Midwest. Wisconsin, though, I don't know exactly what Palm will do with them, but again, as you mentioned, was a 6th seed in his bracket. This feels like a seed line bump type of win. You get a win over a projected #1 seed. Purdue has been consistently one of the best teams in college basketball this season. And oh, by the way, they not only get the win, Wisconsin does, but they get a chance tomorrow to add a potential another quad 1 opportunity win. So really good turn of a momentum for this Wisconsin team going into Selection Sunday. Have to feel pretty good about where they're at right now. And I think come Selection Sunday, they could end up being a 5 seed or even one of the last 4 seeds in the bracket.
3 straight wins for those Badgers. One more before I let you go here, Kyle. In terms of Purdue here, when they entered the tournament last year as a 1 seed, we know how that all panned out. They end up getting bounced pretty early there. So if you're Purdue and you're seeing how this is sort of playing out, you're now a 1 seed. What's the outlook there for them so that they don't repeat history in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, obviously this is a frustrating loss if you're a Purdue fan, but, I'm not hitting the panic button on Purdue. We've seen this season, they've really remade this team. Obviously, they've built again around Zach Edey, just like they did last season, but I think the guard play has been much improved around Zach Edey. The shooting has been much improved around Zach Edey, and hopefully Braden Smith can get back to full health. He's nursing a calf strain that he suffered yesterday. I still believe that this Purdue team is poised to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Their guard play is so much better than it was last year. And they still hit shots today. It just didn't quite fall their way. So Lance Jones, Fletcher Loyer, they have a ton of guys around Zach Edey, and obviously Zach Edey himself can carry this team pretty far. So yeah, I think obviously a frustrating loss, but Purdue has a real good chance to win the national championship this year, and I still believe that.
They will continue to prepare for that, but today belongs to Wisconsin as they take down Purdue 76-75. Our Kyle Boone tapping in to help us react to the madness that we are already seeing. Kyle, we appreciate it. Hey, it only gets more crazy tomorrow on CBS. It's Championship Sunday, all starting with the Atlantic 10 Men's Championship at 1 o'clock Eastern. That'll be followed by that Big Ten Championship game featuring Wisconsin and the winner of Nebraska, Illinois. That one tipping off here pretty recently. And then, of course, it leads up to the selection show on CBS, also streaming on Paramount+.